Hi, welcome to Love Saranghae with Peter and Andrea. In the next 30 minutes, we'll take you on a journey into the exciting world of entrepreneurship, relationships, and the secrets behind achieving that coveted glow. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Love Saranghae with us, Peter and Andrea.
Here we go.
Today, we're going to dive deep into how each got our entrepreneurial start. We're going to talk about the challenges we faced, the fears that came up, the imposter syndrome that sometimes feels like it never goes away, and the reasons we keep pushing forward in spite of it all, and the lessons we learn along the way. Peter, are you ready?
Well, hold on. So before we begin, this episode is called Art of the Start from 0 to 1, which I like very much. And a quick shout out to my former developer and now an entrepreneur on his own right, Akash Devgan. I give you a shout out because he's been asking for this episode for a long time. So Akash, this one's for you. Yeah, here we go. Let's go.
So sweet. All right. So Peter, you have been a serial entrepreneur for much longer than I've known you, which is probably like 12 years now.
Yeah.
Can you share your journey of starting your own business? What inspired you to take that leap into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a great first question. So I believe Saranghae Aurora is my fourth company, and I've been an entrepreneur for the most of my working life. So I'm going to say at least almost 30 years now. So my very first business, my serious business, was called Zen Gear Clothing Incorporated. And it was a cool nightclub wear that we started together. Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. We were literally just like...
the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, we were wearing like our clothes to clubs and showing it off and whatever. Anyway, we had some stores. We had stores in New York. We had stores in Montreal. So we had some modicum of success. So there were the reasons why I actually started the company. So I was actually living in Philadelphia at the time for a company called Montel North America, my first company out of university. And the dot-com boom at the time was raging, right? So you had like yahoo.com and Lycos and all of these. Netscape was huge. They were creating millionaires overnight for new grads who I thought I thought I was just as talented with these guys. Little did I know about some of the things I did not have access to. But anyway, that was one of the reasons why. It was exciting. And my younger brother, Jason, at the time, who passed away, I'd say 15 years ago now, had a large talent for design. He was a designer and he was very, very talented. And I thought we could kind of leverage that and focus on that and build a company around it. So, those are the two reasons why we started Zen Gear Clothing Inc. To be honest, I didn't have a reason that I thought would make a lot of money at it or something. I just thought it would be something that we'd enjoy and have fun around because that's what we do when you're young and not so smart.
Well, I guess the question is, did you enjoy it when you started?
I really did enjoy it. Yeah, it was nerve-wracking because literally cash flow was non-existent. And we had to work like 3 jobs to support it. I think I was a bouncer at a nightclub for like 4 years to support this thing. So I would have a full-time job, a part-time job, and I would run the business. It was crazy times, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it would have been at that time in your life.
Yeah. So let me kind of push this question back to you because you have a much more interesting perspective, in my opinion. Why did you decide to move from being a teacher for 15 years to becoming an entrepreneur, and what made you take that leap?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I think I grew up with an entrepreneur, my dad. He did many things over the years of me growing up, but he did most of them really well. And I believe that was my first experience with sort of looking at what was possible for me and thinking that if he could do it, maybe I could too. And the cool thing about my dad is that he believed that anything was possible with the right mindset and really encouraged me to be intentional about what I allowed into my thoughts and what I held space for. But I think the bigger one was you in my later life. When I met you, I saw how passionate you were. I saw how excited you'd get when you'd close big deals. And you'd come home like on top of the world. And I really loved that energy that you sort of gave off. And I think having that control over how much you make, how much you work, and then you're putting all that time and effort and resources into your own thing.
That's right.
So you're not working 80 hours a week to make someone else wealthy. You're doing that for you. And I really loved that. As a teacher, I could not do that. And like, shout out to all the teachers. They work so hard and they get very little in return. Like financially, recognition, teachers are truly, they're taking care of our babies. And they're doing the best they can with very limited resources. And I felt at the end of that rope, I felt really worn out, exhausted, and not really celebrated for all that I do every day. So,
do you remember the dinner we had with your cousins? And the conversation was, they would rather take a job that was more stable. And I brought up a point that said stability, safety is a fallacy, because anyone can lose their job at any given point in time. At least with entrepreneurship, you have a control over whether you fire yourself or not, right?
You shut it down and not. Yeah. Well, I think it depends how you grew up too, right? Like we grew up in a society that believes that government jobs, unionized jobs are safe and that you're guaranteed a pension and you're guaranteed pretty middle of the road life if you just stick with it until retirement. Regardless of how you're treated, regardless of what goes on each day, if you just, sit tight, you'll be rewarded in retirement. And I think that's the fallacy that we don't sort of speak much about. And I realized that after living with you for so many years and just being in a different space where I was able to think that there was something else that was possible. And then Aurora happened.
Yeah. There's there are always triggers. Like it's very rare that somebody just kind of wakes up one day and says, "Yeah, I think I'll start a business."
I quit.
There's usually some sort of like trigger event, some sort of life event that kind of motivates you. Some call it a sign from God. Who knows? That motivates you to kind of maybe take a drastic step in your life, and look out for that. That's a sign.
Yeah, for sure. For me, that was Aurora. Almost losing Aurora was probably a very foundational moment for me.
Agreed.
Where I was just like, I wasn't really thinking about the entrepreneurship of it. I was thinking of how am I going to make this work because we cannot lose it. So I guess from that perspective, like you said, it was really just a moment. I took it, and I didn't expect to stay with it so long, but I haven't looked back. And
Good.
It's been 2 years now.
Good. Yeah. Excellent.
So, Peter, let's move on. As you know, starting a business can be so overwhelming and scary and all the things. How did you stay focused on your goals amidst the challenges and uncertainties that inevitably come with entrepreneurship?
No, to be honest, I probably didn't. People think that successful entrepreneurs or semi-successful entrepreneurs even have a straight line between when you start and when you succeed, but that's not the case at all. Like, you have landmines everywhere, right? And I think there were lots of times where we strayed. And to be fair, the fate of Zen Gear Clothing was that it got shut down. I shut down the company when my brother passed away because he was basically the main designer. And more than that, I just didn't want to continue a company that
But he wasn't.
Where he wasn't in there anymore, right? It really hurt a lot. Yeah. But that first company taught me a lot about how to run a small business. We learned by trying things and failing a lot. Like, running a business, one thing I've learned is that I've read probably, 12 to 20 books on how to run a business, how to run a team, how to start a company,
My bookshelf will you otherwise. I think it's more than 50.
Yeah. I mean, I've done all the readings and I've listened to all the gurus. And in the end, the best advice I can give anyone is to just try things and fail a lot.
So good.
Right?
I think that's the problem, is that people are afraid to fail. But why do you think that? Why are people afraid to fail?
Well, because they don't know what's on the other side of failure. Right? Mm. So it's kind of like when you climb a mountain and when you go for long runs or tackle big things, look at big dreams, you don't know what's on the other side of failure. And once you fail a few times, you realize it's not that big a deal. So, but at the end of it, it was also...
It also comes with failing and getting back up. You get more confident.
Yeah.
So you become more confident in your ability to get back up and to be able to handle whatever comes your way because you've done it before.
The thing is, you have to understand that the process of entrepreneurship is the process of failure.
Yeah.
Right? It's part of it's a feature, not a flaw, not a bug. You have to fail.
A feature, not a flaw. Failure is a feature, not a flaw of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, feature, not a bug, right? And it was, so you have to expect, the key is to understand how to fail forward, how to fail quickly and fail forward. And we'll talk about
that mean?
We'll talk a little bit about that a little later on because it's on the docket. But to keep going, the last part of the answer to the question, it was also very fun. Like, we really enjoyed it a lot. And when you enjoy what you're doing, you tend to keep at it. So that was it. And so, okay.
And hold on, do you think that you could ever be an employee again?
I think I would bring a lot to any company that I join. And I think there would be other things that I could learn on my next phase if I did become an employee. At this particular point, though, I don't know if I could. I don't think I'd enjoy that right now. But you never know.
You never know. What were the key priorities you focused on when starting a business? And how did you determine what to focus on? Like, how do you know what to prioritize when you're starting out and what to let go?
That is a really, really, really good question. And that's at the heart of entrepreneurship. And I'll answer this question by outlining the priorities I would focus if I were to start a business right now. Because if I told you what we focused on 15 years ago or 20 years ago, they're probably all the wrong things, right?
Well, at that time, maybe not.
Yeah.
But...
Well, I'll tell you, Jesse and I had an argument on what kind of business cards we would get. Like, some of the most mundane things that do not matter at all. That was an issue back in the day. So,
gotta love Jesse. Gotta give him a shout out. Yeah.
And we'll assume that, to answer this question, we're talking about a bootstrap company. So a business where you start from the ground up and not significant investment capital. Because, if you have $100 million in funding, if you got $100 million in funding, priorities and things change, right?
Of course.
So the 4 areas of focus that I would look at if you're starting a business is everything that you do is an experiment. Number 1, everything that you do should be looked upon as an experiment. Don't look at it as, I need to make this work. Look at it as, what will happen if I do this? What's the data that I will get? So you fail fast and you fail forward. So if you partake in an activity, expect that it will fail, but make sure it fails quickly. So gather as much data as you can and fail forward. So you know what you're going to do with that data, right? So any money or time or resources you spend on the first step or any step should never be a waste. It's never a waste because you're going to fail forward.
I love that.
Right, that's number 1. Number 2, cash flow is king. Cash flow is king. Cash flow is king. Like, you cannot do anything if you don't understand the finances of P&Ls, financials of the P&Ls and cash flow statements.
What's a P&L?
Profit and loss. Profit and loss, right? So, especially in a widget business like ours, profit and loss is different than cash flow. Yeah. How you account for widgets or work in progress differs from what cash flow is. So your P&L in a month could look positive, but your cash flow could be negative, depending upon when your money comes in or out.
Can I ask you a question here? Yeah. Why do you think that people who are starting out in their business often avoid their finances?
Because first of all, it's tough. Second, it's gut-wrenching. Every time you look at negative balances or money running out, it hurts you. And third, it's not fun. It's not the fun aspect of running a business. Everybody wants design. Everybody wants to show their new colors or new product. Everybody wants the fun stuff. Nobody wants to look at the numbers. Okay.
So is that a mindset thing?
Yes.
Then? So what do you do to change your mindset around something that is so important but is not fun?
So number 1 is schedule it in. Mm-hmm. Number 2
is... Weekly, daily, how often?
You look at the key performance indicators every day. Then you look at every week and every month. There are separate ones you should take a look at. but the monthly one's obviously a lot more involved, a lot deeper. Weekly ones should have maybe 4 or 5 key performance indicators, and daily ones are just a few things you'll take a look at. Right. Second thing is I recommend every starting entrepreneur to take a rudimentary financial course. Get literate in financial documents, because financial documents are the language of business.
Yes.
Right? So understand them. Even at a rudimentary level, you need to understand them. I don't even care if you have a partner who's a COO, a chief operating officer, a financial guy. Everyone needs to understand the basics of financial literacy.
Right.
That's 2. The third thing I would focus on is ideas are a dime a dozen. You need to execute, execute, execute. I don't care how great your idea is. Everybody has, there are 8.5 billion people in this world. I'm telling you right now that 2,000 people have the same idea as you.
Yes.
Right?
But the ones that work are the people that actually did it.
Execute. That's
and
it.
Didn't think about whether or not they were qualified enough, whether or not they were, they had the right letters behind their name and so on.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely. And also whether your idea was great or not. Oh, it's not a good enough idea. Oh, that's a great, amazing idea. Or that's a world-changing idea. That they don't matter. They don't matter.
I think from my own perspective, that is what made the difference between surviving or not. I got a lot of downloads, in other words, ideas, and I acted on them all the time. And some of them worked really well. Sometimes I would even change course. So I would have a plan, and then I would get like a download, and I would be like, nope, I'm doing this instead. And thankfully, Peter was in agreement with my crazy ideas. And often those ones were the ones that performed the best.
Following,
don't overthink.
Exactly. Following
Just
through.
Do it.
Executing on the simplest idea is far more powerful than trying to find the big life-changing ideas.
Exactly.
Right? Just execute.
It's through those little ideas that eventually you stumble on the life-changing ones.
There's a company out there making $1 billion a year, making little umbrellas for drinks, right? The Waste Management is a I think they're $9 billion company collecting garbage.
Yeah.
You don't need, you don't have to put a man on the moon or a man on Mars. You just need to figure out how to turn a profit and scale that up. In
other words, how to solve a problem
just execute.
That a lot of people have.
Exactly. So
what's the last one? You have one more.
Yeah. The last one is people first. So always. And this is a lesson. And I'm not I'm not saying this because it sounds good or I read it in a book. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for almost 20 years, and I've learned that HR, human resources, is not only the biggest cost of your business, it is the single biggest reason for your success or failure. If you have the right people, you will overcome almost every problem. If you have the wrong people, you could have the best idea and all the resources in the world, and it will go down the drain.
Yeah.
Right? People, and look at your balance sheet. Look at your balance sheet. Your biggest cost is not your widgets or your components or even your rent. Your largest cost is human resources. You pay someone $100,000 a year. That's $8,000 a month in cost. 2 people make $100,000 a year, $16,000 a month in cost. That cost better give you a return.
I love that.
Yeah.
But it's also people first from the perspective of their customers.
Absolutely.
Clients.
Yep.
So when they feel seen, when they feel heard, when they feel nourished, when they feel connected to you, they want to spend money with you. They want to support you no matter what you create or what products you sell.
So that's a really good point, right? Because it's the one thing that I have evolved over the years of being an entrepreneur from when I started. I used to view customers as a unit. So, there are 1,000 customers buying X number of dollars, right? Or how do you get to 10,000? But what I've learned is that customers are people, and people have, connecting with people and creating that network of customers who love your product and spreading that word of supporting customers and what they need, that goes a long way past just simply a spreadsheet, a projection in a spreadsheet. And that's the key. That's the magic that many people don't appreciate and must understand, that customers buy your product and customers are people.
Yeah,
No, I agree. I definitely agree.
absolutely.
So, Andrea, in the early stage of starting a business, again, same to you. Like, what do you think that people should prioritize? Give me some from your perspective.
I think I'm going to piggyback off of you a little bit. Perfection is the death of our business. And I think that I think for me especially, that I'm a perfectionist. I'm a recovering perfectionist, I should say, because I'm learning that done is better than perfect. Just start.
Yeah.
Start with the email. Start with the one thing that you can do that will get you closer to your goal that day. And every day, one step forward. So I find that when we're starting out, the big goal of, a certain financial goal or a certain recognition is so overwhelming that you end up not doing anything at all. Or you feel insecure because people around you that you're looking up to are so far ahead of you. So you say, what's the point? And I think the point is they started somewhere too, but every single day they did something that got them closer to the goal. So for me, I think just start. Done better than perfect.
Absolutely.
And you improve. So instead of looking at other people and why they're not better, why they're not there, look at yourself. Am I better than I was yesterday? And if the answer is yes, then you're successful that day.
Beautiful, beautiful. And similar. So I've got from a prioritizing perspective and what should we let go? So I have the same as you. Great is the enemy of good and done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
Look at iterations. So get product to marketplace quickly. There is no such thing as perfection. So get good enough and get it out in the marketplace. So let it percolate, right? Let it percolate. Never get married to your idea. Let the spark.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Never get married to your idea. Look, like I understand emotions get involved and you love your baby, but you cannot do that. Let the data speak and learn to let it go quickly. Yeah. Emotional attachment always leads to delays and greater cost. And last one, and it's very important. I think actually I have two of them that I want to speak about. If you're going into a partnership, and this is important because many people want to partner with others because it's scary to go alone. I get it. But if you're going into a partnership, partner with people with complementary skill sets, not because you guys are friends. Each partner has to bring something of value that the other does not bring. Or else what you're going to get
this is gold.
Yeah, you're going to get duplication of work and you're going to get resentment later on because there will be some battles. You're going to have, it's not going to work out. So complementary skill sets, right? That's and amazing. Last one, and this is the question I get a lot. And this is something that's going to be important to all of you. If you find someone willing to invest money in you, great, congrats. Now be extra careful because with money comes strings. In many cases, it can break you. And I'm going to give you an example of a company that I just had a talk to. This company got a signed letter of intent from a venture capitalist for $17 million. But they asked that the company hire 25 more people to expand the capacity. So they looked at bums in seats. I call them bums in seats, which is headcount. They looked at if you can make X number of dollars with this much resources, then why don't you increase the resources and scale the revenue? The company immediately started losing $500,000 a year. They started to outsource and lost thousands of customers. And in the end, now this is the crappy part. In the end, the venture capitalist firm pulled out. And the very last minute, the day before the deal was done, they said, we're pulling out all North American investments.
Oh my God.
And the company said, well, we have a deal. And the venture capitalist said, sue me.
Oh my God.
So the company, as the owner was telling me, almost shut down. He and his partner said, I can't do this anymore. And then they just simply said, what if we just looked at survival? How do we cut? How do we get all of this back? They called all of their customers, including me. I was a customer, told them what they were doing, told them how they're going to fix the problems. And they drastically reduced their size. And now they're stable and profitable going forward.
Big is not always better.
Right?
big is not always better. And I'd love to add one more thing to this is intuition, trusting a gut. You don't give it enough credit. It's there for a reason. So many people I know who've been in a similar situation went against their gut because they thought having an invested partner with that amount of money would be beneficial to the company, and it was not. And it ended up costing them a lot of money to pull out and a lot of stress and a whole bunch of other things. So it's not necessarily the wrong way to go, but it's not necessarily the better way to go.
Congratulations. Somebody is interested. I will tell you right now, they're not interested because they're nice, because you look good, and they want to spend time with you. They want to make money off of you, your business. They're going to willing to bring capital, but without capital, there are always strings. So just be careful. Just
Strings
understand.
attached.
They'll understand
Exactly.
what the process looks like. Okay? All right.
All right.
Next
So
one.
I would love to move on because I have a lot of questions for you. There's so many things to discuss when we talk about the beginning stages, and there's so many people who ask all of these questions of us. So when you think about mindset, do you believe that mindset is a crucial part of an entrepreneur
Absolutely.
makeup? And do you think that what mindset do you think they need to cultivate to be prepared for what entrepreneurship brings?
So I will say to you right off the bat that on mindset and attitude is probably the number one important thing in entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship doesn't have a well-defined end goal. It's not like school where in one semester you got to take a test and then you're out. There are an unlimited number of choices which can be wrong or which can be right. You have no idea, and that can paralyze you. Right? It's scary as hell. And so mindset, the idea of moving forward, even when you're petrified, is probably the most important skill set that you can have as an entrepreneur. So let me, in my 20 years of doing this, I've learned a few things. So let me, tell you a little bit about what I think is important. So number one is water off a duck's back. There will always be someone who hates your product or you. Listen to the feedback and learn from it. So take out the nugget of gold that they might tell you, but don't let anyone discourage you. And as you get more and more successful, there will be more and more haters, right? So take what you can, but like water off a duck's back.
The way I look at haters is it has nothing to do with you. It's actually a reflection of where they are in their own life in that any given time.
Exactly.
So I often, when I receive hate, it doesn't happen often. I have a really amazing community. But when I do, I always say a little prayer for them and hope that they find their way, because people who are mean, usually online, behind a computer, hiding.
Especially
and
online.
usually just, they're not happy with their own lives. And this makes them feel a little bit better for a moment or two.
Don't discount them. If they have something of value to say, look at what they say and then take the nugget of gold with you, because people who give you that feedback, negative feedback sometimes is better than no feedback at all. Use that to your advantage. But from an attitude perspective, head up, water off a duck's back, keep moving forward. Second, it's an ultra marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
You're going to have thousands of ups and thousands of downs. So don't get too down when things don't go your way, but also don't get too high when you think you're on top of the world.
This is hard for me.
Right? You cannot be a roller coaster. Be as straight as possible. Okay? It should be a matter of fact. Third, my view is that if you're enjoying it, just keep doing it. There's no job out there that will bring you the same joy that you're doing right now. So learn to embrace the good and the bad, right? Take yourself up to another level and say, hey, listen, is there anything else I'd rather be doing? Like when I'm running, when I'm doing a 50K ultra marathon, there's middle of the journey is terrible. It's hard, it's painful. But then you got to take yourself up and you say, is there anything else I'd rather be doing right now? If the answer is no, well, just keep doing it, right? Keep going. Keep going. And lastly, if you're going to do it, and I tell my son this all the time.
All the time.
If you're going to do it, don't half-ass it, right? Like everyone here has 24 hours in a day, right? Yeah. We all have the same amount of time. So if you waste time, you're wasting your resources. So if you're going to do it, don't half-ass it. Do the best you can. If you're going to throw out your garbage, if you're going to go throw out, your garbage bag into the outside, do the best job you can. If you're going to clean the floor, do the best job you can, right? You're going to spend the time to do it. You might as well do it really, really well.
Yeah.
The same thing with entrepreneurship. If you're going to do it, don't half-ass it. Do the best job you can. Okay?
Love that. Love that. That's a lesson for life in general.
Well,
if you're going to be a partner in a relationship, be the best partner you can be.
Agreed.
If you're going to be...
Right back at you. Do you like this roller? Because I do. It's really nice. Well, let me throw this back at you, Andrea, because you have different circumstances, right? You're a female entrepreneur, which has different sets of circumstances that come with it, and you're a mother, so you have different challenges. So give me an answer on the mindset question.
So for me, it was my why. That was how I got my head in the game. My why. So when people ask me, "What is your why?" Your why refers to the deep emotion-evoking reason you are here, going through this process to create the business and life of your dreams. And my big why is twofold. First, because I want to be the woman who my children look up to and admire. That's a big one for me. And I want them to see that it's never too late to realize a dream that's been sitting on their heart. I want them to know that they can create something new anytime. Even when they're 8 and 4, for example, anything is possible. I want them to be bold and unapologetically themselves, regardless of what other people think of them. But I also want my son to know what a strong woman looks like and to not be intimidated or threatened by her.
Love it.
And I want my daughter to see what is possible for her as a girl and a woman, and to know that being a girl is actually her superpower, that she can accomplish anything.
Love it.
So, but lastly, and probably most importantly, I want more for me. And I've always wanted more, but I didn't have the confidence
Go get
to
it.
believe in myself that I could do it. And then all of a sudden, I did it.
You deserve it. You deserve
And
it.
so I deserve it, but I also did it. And it's possible. I just have to start. So I think my why was really the mindset for me. Keeping my why at the forefront of everything I did.
That's beautiful.
Every morning I wake up, even through the hard times and the days I didn't want to get up. That, I want to show myself that my dreams, I can be the husband my parents always wanted me to marry.
Hey.
No, but I think I grew up in a time where it was always, you got to marry a good man who can support you. And I want to be that person. In addition to you, of course.
It's addition, of course.
Okay, let's move on. Can you share some important lessons you've learned along the entrepreneurial journey that you wish you knew when you were just starting out?
Great question. Yeah, and this is probably going to be a little bit of a rehashing of some of the conversations we've already had, but I'll really pinpoint it, which is...
What's the number one lesson then?
Well, I mean, they're all pretty equal, but I'll go through them. I've got about 4 or 5 here, I think, that are pretty important. Number one is, so until the paper is signed, the deal isn't done. Okay, and we've learned this lesson the hard way. Never, ever celebrate early. Countless times where we thought we had an investment or a big deal, and the deal was done, it didn't happen. And when the highs are that high, the low is really low, right? Sometimes it's almost devastating. So until the deal, the paperwork is signed, never celebrate. That's number one. Number two, people are not things. They're not data points, right? You got to treat people with respect and kindness at all stages, even when you're letting them go, which is really hard for me. When letting people go, it's still hard for me, but it's the right thing to do because it reflects who you are as a professional and as a company. And it'll come back to bite you in the bum if you don't do this correctly.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest successes that we've had or runs of growth came right after our biggest lows.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you hold on, you keep moving forward and allow for good things to happen to you. If you keep moving, doors will open up. Opportunities will happen, and some of those opportunities will lead to your biggest growth and biggest gains. So have that belief.
So in other words, the failure, after the failure, the perceived failure, often comes the biggest growth.
How many times, if you think back, all of our listeners, think back to some of your biggest aha moments. Did they come right after a really low point or a point of failure where you had a lesson or where you had a, wait a minute, what if this were to happen? I would think so.
Well, like you said before, the failures it's information.
Yeah, it's a data
And
point.
the way we look at it, the way we choose to receive failure will determine our success going forward.
It's a data point. It's just a data point, right? Next one.
Okay.
To get to one yes, you have to go through 9 no's. Just remember that. So one success from 9 failures. That's the ratio that I look at. 10 things go on, 9 will go wrong, 1 will go right. That's just what you expect. And the last one, I beg everyone, financial literacy. Just understand the basics of financials. I don't care who you are. I don't care what point of the entrepreneur journey you are. Be financially literate to the foundational degree.
I guess I'm going to move on. Entrepreneurship often comes with moments of doubt and wanting to quit. What helped you push through those tough times and keep going anyway?
Yeah, that's probably the quintessential question. You need to find, to be quite frank, you need to just find enjoyment and excitement in the process, right? Not the end goal. It really can't be about, I want to make $10 million, therefore I'm going to do this. It has to be about, I enjoy what I'm doing and, success will follow because I'm good at what I do. For me, the idea of tackling something tough and curious was something I look forward to, and I look forward to every day. Failures have to be expected, and in fact, you never get success without failures, right? We just talked about that. And I simply counted failures as steps towards success. So, yeah, at the end, just enjoy what you do, enjoy the process.
Do you have any personal mantra or philosophy that guides you through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship that you sort of keep at the front of your mind when things are, tough or when you're sort of in a place of not growing?
I keep saying to just keep moving forward one step at a time. It's like my marathon mantra, one step at a time, over and over, and doors open up and keep moving forward. There's a movie called The Martian. Marcus and I just watched that the other day. And in the end, Matt Damon, it's a scene where he's been rescued and he's at the NASA center. And he says, did I think about dying in Mars? Yes. And then what you do is you get to work. You're just solving problems. You do the math. You solve problems, and that's all you do. That's all it is. And he's exactly right. That's what I think about. No matter what happens, you think about us dying, you think about the company failing, yes, I think about all of that. But then you get to work. You solve problems.
Yeah,
you do the math.
That's exactly how you are.
That's it. That's all it is. Right?
Yeah, you're very realistic about what's going on, but then you put your head down and go.
You just go.
It doesn't paralyze you.
And that's the key. What's yours?
Yeah. For me, my mantra has been, since I started, I can do hard things.
Good.
And it's, every time I have to do something I don't know how to do, or I'm looking at a document that's making me cross-eyed, I just repeat that to myself. I can do hard things. And it's easy and it's joyful and it's fun. And it changes completely how my perspective is on that thing that I have to do.
I love it.
That's mine. All right. I'm going to ask you one more question.
Okay.
And I think this is an important one. How do you discern when it's time to close the business or let go of a particular beloved idea or project? Like, what signs do you look for? Like, how do you know it's time? This is not working and it needs to close.
I will tell you there is no right or wrong answer for this. It's tough. This is probably the toughest question you'll ever face. Number one is probably when you can't pay the bills. That's probably the biggest one. If you can't pay your employees and you can't even pay yourself, it's time to probably shut it down, right? The numbers will tell you. how it's working, not your emotions. Let the numbers speak. When you spend $20,000 on a marketing campaign and you get one sale, that's so far from working that it's, that it's probably not, like, the lesson here is that, okay, this road does not go anywhere, right? So
it's fine.
It has to make financial sense. And no matter how, one of the things what's important, one thing I learned, it was a lesson from one of my old bosses. No matter how exciting or great the sales may be, you have to make money. You have to make enough margin to make sense, right? So you got to look at the unit economics. And if
you have to be in business.
It have to be in, it can't be a hobby. You got to be in business.
It's not a hobby.
Look at your unit economics. Divide it down to your unit, your one product. And if that product doesn't have enough margin, you've got to do something about that. Okay? And that's the reality of it. So don't look at it as, oh, we got 100 customers, we got 1,000 customers. That's important too. But break it down to your unit economics. Did you make enough margin to cover your costs? Great. Then how do you scale? If you didn't, you need to figure out how to make the unit economics work.
And I think the other thing that you said that was really important was take your emotions out of it. And that's a hard part, especially when it's your business, your baby, it's something you work so hard on. But it's really important to keep them in check to make the best decisions for your business and for your employees and for your customers.
Absolutely. And my last point before I sign off here is remember that the timeline of failure and success are in decades, not months. So just because something didn't work, I don't think it's a good idea to just simply cut it immediately. When Walmart listed on the NASDAQ or the stock market, the head of the market said, hey, how do you feel being the overnight success? And Sam Walton turned around and said, overnight success, 10 years in the making.
I love that.
Just remember the timeline is decades, years, not months.
Just don't see it. It's
exactly.
Not social media worthy.
Yeah, what you see is top of the iceberg, which is probably 15%. The bottom of the iceberg, below the ocean, which is 85%, is the work, the effort, the resources, the years, time, all that put in. So most icebergs, you only see the 15%. And most companies, you only see the 15%. So just remember that.
It's like the roots. You plant, that's my seed analogy I've been using for the last month. You plant a seed and for months you don't see anything. But under that soil, the roots are coming.
Exactly.
But you have to be patient and you have to give it the right amount of food and water and sunlight and love. And you have to have faith.
Absolutely.
So I think with that, entrepreneurship is definitely not for the faint of heart. But I really believe that if you have a dream tucked inside your heart, it is there for a reason. It is entirely up to you whether or not you choose to realize that dream or not. However, we, Peter and I, are living proof that it is entirely possible, regardless of how big it may feel or out of reach at the present moment. Having complete faith in your ability to figure things out even when times get challenging, and doing the hard stuff, even if it feels embarrassing or scary, is what will set you apart from those who give up and ultimately fail. There's always a way, even if you don't see it just yet. With that, we hope you enjoyed our conversation today, and we hope that you'll join us again next week for another episode of Love Saranghae with Peter and Andrea. Have a beautiful week ahead.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Love Saranghae with us, Peter and Andrea. If you've enjoyed this episode, leave us a review. Your ratings and reviews help more people like you find our show. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share this podcast with someone you think would love it. Until next time, love yourself, love one another, and love the world.